I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 486. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. I have something very special for you today, and I want to introduce you to one of my clients that I worked with 1 or 2 years ago, and she was in one of my group sessions. And she has had such great success. And she sent me an email not too long ago telling me how great she's been doing since she finished the program, which was probably about a year ago. And she was just telling me how she can fit in these jeans and how her life is just so different since she worked with me. And I asked her if she would come on and talk to the rest of you, my listeners, about what her experience was like and how she might be able to help you too. Because if you're anything like she was, she had her ways of losing weight when she would gain weight. And it usually was working out more and restricting her calories or whatever, going on a diet. And when she got into her mid 40s and 50s, those tricks didn't work anymore. And that's when she started listening to my podcast. And her name is Emily. And she's a smart cookie. Excuse the pun, but she's a smart cookie. And so I think she can tell you things that I don't even know if I could tell you in her own words that may help you right now start eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, or if anything, just learn to be nicer to yourself. Because it sounds to me like when I talk to her and she says it's been life changing for her, I think what's been most life changing is not the weight loss, but the way that she sees herself and the way that she talks to herself. That is what is life changing. And that is why she lost weight. So, whatever you do when you listen to my podcast, I want you to really think about this because for her, she said she was listening to my podcast for about a year before she decided to sign up for a group program. Now, maybe you don't want to wait that long, right? Maybe you want to do it a lot sooner. And maybe you don't want to do a group program. Maybe you'd rather do individual coaching. But for sure, the tools that I teach are the same in a group program or individual coaching. And the one thing I know for sure is the only way to truly lose weight for good is to like yourself more first. And that's exactly what Emily talks about. And because she listened to the podcast first, she also probably got my Jumpstart guide that goes along with my first 4 or 5 episodes where you can work with me while you're listening to my podcast. And if that sounds interesting, all you have to do is go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get this free book on my first 4 podcasts and follow along as if you are working with me in a group or individually. Just go to drdebbutler.com/change. And now, without any further talking, I would like to introduce you to Emily. So, whatever you do when you listen to my podcast, take a bath, take a walk, take a drive, enjoy and enjoy this podcast with Emily. Hi, Emily. Welcome to my
Hi,
podcast.
Dr. Hi, Dr. Deb. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. And I got an email. The reason we're talking is because number one, you've worked with me in a group setting a couple of times. And two, you sent me an email, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, 3 months ago, that was warmed my heart so much about how well you were doing and what was going on with you. And I not only did I put it on my website, but it's like I really want people and I want to hear about how this continues to work for you because the last time we worked together was probably 2 years ago, would you say? 1 year ago? 2 years
Yeah, at
ago?
least a year and a half.
Oh, at least a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Mhm.
and so like what I always hope when I work with somebody is that the tools that I teach that they keep working and that you keep using them and they become more and more of your own. And
Absolutely.
and getting your email for you telling me that's exactly what's been happening for you. I think you started your email and saying to me something about that you hadn't fit into a pair of jeans in I don't know how many years. And that's kind of the way it started. And
Right.
you were in two group sessions with me. So you worked in a group setting with me. And a lot of times I have people here that are in groups, and sometimes I have people here that have worked with me individually. And I love for people to hear that either way really works. And and sometimes, depending on who you are, one is better for you than the other, and only you're the one that knows that. So,
Right.
what I would like to start, my first question to you is what made you so did you start by listening? Did you hear my podcast? How did you hear about me?
I don't remember how I first got introduced to the podcast,
You
but I've
started on the
listened to
podcast. You started listening to the podcast.
I've listened to the podcast for about a year
Ah,
before I signed up to do a group. Yeah.
and I bet that happens with a lot of people. And so what made you, first of all, what interested you about the podcast for
Well, what
you?
interested me about Right. So what interested me about the podcast was right when the pandemic started, I started having all of the perimenopause symptoms that were obvious perimenopause symptoms, and including waking up one morning and realizing I had gained 25 pounds and no idea how I had done it because I was still exercising and eating right and doing all the things I had done for 20 years that always
Uh-huh.
worked.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't working anymore. So I was, looking for audiobooks and podcasts and all those kinds of
Yeah.
things around that chapter of life and around weight gain and health and wellness and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
And my guess is on a Google search or something, I ran across the Thinner Peace program. But I started listening to it whenever I would walk or whenever I'd be out in the yard or whatever. I started listening to the podcast. And, the hook for me was the skill building around distress tolerance and around how to set with those uncomfortable emotions
Mhm.
and acknowledge them and work with them. And the part that I always struggled with was that self-care and self-forgiveness and, the Kristen Neff, kind of work around forgiving ourselves and being our own best friends. And that tripped me up every single time when I was doing it on my own. So, what attracted me then to go from the podcast to actually joining a group was I was in a life transition change. My son had just moved out to go to college. I
Uh-huh.
was on the horizon of my 50th birthday, right? So I
Uh-huh.
had these landmark kind of life things going on. I've
Uh-huh.
been a single mom for a really long time, and here I am rattling around in the house by myself for the first time.
Yeah.
And so I had worked with coaching in other areas before, and I'm a fan of coaching. I'm a huge fan of coaching. And I signed up to do the group coaching. And for me, that was the perfect thing because my the other folks who were in the group,
Yeah.
they would bring up struggles or bring up ideas or bring up things that they were going through that sometimes I was going through the exact same thing
Yeah.
and I didn't even know how to articulate it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And they would say it so well and I'd be like, oh yeah, that. So for me the group coaching was great, and 12 weeks in I had built up all of this momentum. I'd started to lose some weight. I was feeling good. I was getting the tools kind of under my belt. But I had realized that while I thought I had done great all these years with eating and exercise, I realized that my eating patterns were so tied to my emotional state
Ah.
and that I didn't realize how unhealthy I had been with those things.
Mm.
So I wanted to sign up for the other 12 weeks to really get it down because I was afraid of backsliding, right?
Yes.
And so I really wanted to nail that down. So doing that group program twice in a row, back to back,
Yep.
to really do that skill building
Hmm.
and learn from the other women in my group,
Yes.
it was truly life changing for me. I mean, just, yeah, it was amazing. It was an
Um,
amazing experience.
and it's really good to talk about that because I think there's people who do the group, one time or work with me one time individually, and they feel like if they need more, that something has gone wrong or that somehow they have failed.
Right.
And how did you, I mean, because it sounds like you have a really the way that you looked at it, it's like you knew that you were really making progress. What inspired you to do it a second time in a way that you felt really good about it?
I knew myself well enough from things I had done in the past
Uh-huh.
where I would get on this upward trajectory, especially with health, wellness, exercise, all those kinds
Hmm.
of things, where I would be doing really well and then something would happen. I
Uh,
would get sick, there would be a busy couple weeks of work,
yes.
something would throw me off of my routine.
Hmm.
And then it would take me 3, 6, 9 months, a year sometimes to get back on track. And I knew that for me, especially with the discount that you offered and those kinds of things,
Hmm.
I would really benefit from having a good 6 months of doing this consistently with the support of the group and the coaching to really learn how to navigate the ups and downs that happen in life because
Yeah.
those things do happen, right?
Which
And so
is,
really
yeah.
being able to practice, yeah, being able to like really practice that comeback tool, for instance, whenever those things would happen and not get down into that downward spiral of feeling awful about myself and feeling guilty and thinking, well, what's the use anyway? I've already screwed it up, or whatever it was that I would have
All
done in the
those
past.
thoughts that you used to use.
Yeah. Yeah. Having that extra time with the group to really, hands-on work through those things. Because it's
Yes.
easy to do it, it's easy to use the tools for 8 weeks or 10 weeks and kind of be on that cloud nine,
Yes.
phase. But I knew for me, I needed to have the support when I came off of cloud nine to learn how to keep doing it.
Oh
And the
my
group was the
gosh.
perfect place for me to do that.
I think you have said it so well, and this is something that I'm learning, is that it is kind of like a honeymoon period the first
Yeah.
time you do it. It's you're more apt. I mean, you learn it, you do it, you kind of feel invincible. But I think the way that I introduced the second group was it's that I just noticed that as firm as you feel that you've got it, something's going to happen and it's going to throw you off and you're going to think you lost it. And
Right.
the way that you
Right.
put this is, I think you were thinking that way. And so it was kind of like an insurance program for you. It's like, I've got this, but I know there's other things that are going on because if this has been going on for a long time in your life with this eating and food, it doesn't just go away in 12 weeks, even though I give you all the tools in 12
Right.
weeks, something else comes up. So I think it was brilliant on your part to take that insurance program. And I think that's what really propelled you forward. Tell me if I'm wrong about that or right about that.
You're absolutely right, because when I was going through the journaling exercises, I realized that this, what I would call a dysfunctional eating pattern of mine, had been well intact since early grade school, right?
Wow.
So I had over 40 years of that pattern. And the difference was in the past, I could go run 5 miles, I could calorie restrict, I could whatever, and the weight would come off, and I thought I was doing well. And then
Yes.
once I turned and I wasn't doing well. I didn't have a healthy relationship with food.
But you
But I
could
thought
get
I
your weight, but you
was.
could get your weight off doing
Right,
unhealthy things that you
right,
thought were just fine because they
right.
worked.
Right, because I thought the number on the scale meant it worked. Seriously. So
I hear
then I
you,
came
sister.
Then I turned 45 and the number on the scale doesn't
Yeah.
change and it goes the wrong direction, right? So when I got into the program and I learned how much of it was around managing my mind, which I had experience in working with those kind of tools in other areas of my
Yeah.
life, I just never worked it this way around food before.
Uh-huh.
Um, so whenever we started working on that, and I realized how much the food was related to the emotions
Yeah.
and how much I needed to practice that, of managing the emotions, managing my mind. And then I combined that with the tedious, powerful worksheet, which was life changing for me.
So
The
let me
thought,
stop you for a minute.
yeah.
The tedious, powerful worksheet, one of the tools that
Mhm,
I teach, is
mhm,
where you usually pick some kind of a joy food, a
mhm.
non-nutritious food, and you mindfully eat it bite by bite, and you really see what it's like for you, how much you really want, what it really tastes like. That's what you're referring to, right?
Right. And I was lucky. We hit that part, in my words, I'll put it in air quotes, lucky. My time to use the tedious, powerful worksheet hit right at the holidays when we
Yes,
had
I
all
love
of
doing
those
it at the holiday.
celebration foods,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And I'm a huge baker and I bake for my neighbors and do all that stuff at the holidays. So it was the perfect time for me to use that tool and have some of those favorite once a year foods and really think about, okay, when did I stop enjoying this?
Oh,
Right? I'm eating it bite by bite. I'm paying attention. And when did the joy leave? And I feel this compulsion to finish it because that's what I've always done.
wow.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to have it again until next year, which
Right,
is
that kind of thinking.
right, which is crazy because I'm the one who made it. I can make it again anytime I want to.
But your mind was telling you things and it felt so compelling,
Right,
which happens a lot during the holidays for people, which is why I like doing these programs during the holidays because it brings up all the reasons why you eat when
right,
either you're not hungry or when you're not mindfully doing it because you're telling yourself things that really don't make any sense at all.
right. Yeah. So so when I did the program,
Yeah,
I had I came down with COVID, which
right.
threw me off my game. My son I went through the holidays and that eating period. My son struggled a lot with his first year of college, and you and I talked through a lot of that stuff
And I
using the
want to stop you for
program.
1 minute because I think it's really important. I don't want to get into it, but a lot of the reasons sometimes why we eat emotionally has to do with other things that are going on in our life.
Right.
And part of the program that you did with me, or what I do with people, is that I coach you on other things that are going on in your life that are propelling you to eat
Mhm.
emotionally and to clear your mind up about those things so that you can look at things more sensibly. I think that's kind of the way I could put that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the other big thing for me was not
Yeah.
only did I change jobs, I changed career paths
Yes.
towards the end of
Talk
that
about all
second.
the things
For,
that were going on.
so we had every opportunity for me to fall off the wagon
Exactly,
to
which
get
is
that 6 months, and I did sometimes.
and that's exactly what I want for everybody is I don't want you to do it during a perfect time in your life. Like, oh, I don't have anything going on. I want you to do it when you're going on vacation, when it's the holidays, when you're having
Right,
trouble with your kids, or you're going through a divorce or whatever it is, because that brings up all your stuff and what your brain does with it is, oh, honey, let's eat a cookie. It'll make you feel better. And when
right.
I can work with you during that, like I did with you on a
Mhm.
number of things, I think that really helped you switch your brain in terms of how to handle emotions with food. I think that's what you're referring to.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And for the numbers people who think the numbers matter, which by the way, you do the program, you realize the numbers don't matter. They really don't. But if the numbers matter to the people who are listening, by the time I finished the second 12-week session, I was down 22 pounds from when I had started.
Yeah.
And since that time and this last year plus, I've lost probably another 7 or 8 pounds on top of that. And it didn't matter anymore,
Oh
if
my
that
God.
makes
So
sense.
wait, you got to say something about because a lot of people don't know when you say the number doesn't matter. And
I,
but part of what we work on and what we talk about is making peace with the scale.
right,
So
right.
say something about that.
So my experience before Dr. Deb with the scale
Yeah.
was the scale got to dictate how my day went, how my week went, how I saw myself, what I thought of myself, whether I saw myself as worthy or not. I mean,
Yeah.
and and I'm a professional with a graduate degree and I've got a lot of great things going in my life. And those three numbers dictated everything about how I felt about myself on any given day, right? And through learning how to manage my emotions, eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, appreciate those joy foods bite by bite until they're not fun anymore. The more I stayed consistent with that, the more the numbers on the scale didn't dictate my self-esteem anymore and whether or not I had a good day.
Wow.
It just didn't.
And you're losing weight. I mean,
Right.
it's almost easier to lose weight when you don't put so much pressure on yourself about losing weight.
Absolutely.
Like that's not
Absolutely.
really the purpose of why
Right.
you're doing what you're doing. Say something about that.
Well, to me, the weight what became as I worked through the tools,
Mhm.
the weight became the afterthought. I
Wow.
learned how to become okay with me and become okay
Oh
in
my
my own
gosh.
skin and forgive myself when I didn't do things as perfectly as I wanted to
Mhm.
and learn from it and move on. And there are still days when I use the comeback tool. I mean, it's not picture perfect, so to speak, air
Yeah.
quotes again,
Yeah.
every single time. But but by doing that,
Mhm.
learning how to be comfortable with it's like I learned how to be okay with me, and
Oh
yeah,
my
by the way,
God.
some weight came off.
It-
Yeah.
I- So let's just repeat what you just said because it is the key for everybody who wants to lose weight and thinks that the weight loss is what's going to change everything.
Right.
And what you just said is you became okay with you. You accepted yourself. And by accepting yourself, and I'm gonna add, and you can tell me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
liking yourself or loving yourself and treating yourself better, be it forgiving yourself or feeding yourself properly, it's allowed the scale to go down and the pressure of the scale doesn't even matter to you anymore because the feeling that you have before you lost the weight
Right.
is, I think, what you were looking for to lose the weight. Like you thought the
Absolutely.
weight loss was going to give you what you got before you even lost it.
Yeah, I had the cart before the horse, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
I thought if I lost the weight, then I would feel good about myself again. And the reality was, until I started feeling good about myself again, the weight wasn't going to come off. The
I don't
the
know what to say because this
I
is what
mean,
I teach. And when I hear it
yeah,
come out of your mouth, and I am not a ventriloquist, so I'm not making you say these words. But it is why I do the work, and it is my hope and my dream for every client that I work with that they can say what you're saying to me. And
right.
it's in your heart.
Absolutely. I mean, I would have loved to have learned these things when I was a teenager or in my
Yeah, me too.
20s instead of, I mean, wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
But the reality is to be in this chapter of life when everything in mainstream media is telling us it's so hard to lose weight. And quite honestly, whenever I did thinner peace, I thought maybe something was off because it wasn't hard
Mm,
at all. There were moments when I had to stay very present with myself, with what was going on, and make a conscious decision to make the choice that would lead me to the outcome I wanted to have.
mhm.
And so sometimes I had to choose to not eat junk when I wanted to. because that was the old pattern, right?
When you emotionally had something going on or
Right,
emotionally wanted something, you
right,
had to deal with those emotions not to eat.
right.
And you had trained yourself not to deal with those emotions and eat instead. So, what you're saying is doing that took some work.
It absolutely did. There's no question about that. Um, but it was about realizing that if I ate the junk again with full knowledge of what I was doing to myself, it was going to lead to the self-loathing and beating myself up and all of it wasn't even about the calories anymore or the weight. It was about how I knew I would feel about me if I decided to do that again. And then on the occasions when I did it anyway, because I did,
Of course.
then learned how to forgive myself, used the comeback tool, and picked up and started all over again. And the world didn't blow up, and I didn't hate myself.
And so what you've been referring to the comeback tool a lot.
Mhm.
So for people who might not know what that is, it's just a way that when you fall off the wagon or whatever, when you're not perfect,
Right,
that that's not what's going to keep you connected to yourself. It's the coming back that you, the ability to forgive yourself and come back to the next meal or the next day with love and connection is why you've been able to, number one, lose all this weight, but number two, to love yourself and like yourself and accept yourself during the whole time. Because when we, at least for me, this diet mentality thing was you're either on or you're off.
right.
And the truth is you're going to be on and you're going to be off no matter what you do
On any given day.
on any given
Yes,
day. So it the
yes,
and all you got to do is just come back.
right, right. Just come back. Don't
And
make it a
that's
big
what you're
deal.
referring to. And it's probably I mean, because you say it so much, I really believe that it is what separates people who get it and people who don't. That you don't have to be perfect. It's not like you're always going to be connected and you're always going to stay between the twos. It's just that if you don't, you can bring yourself back and love yourself anyway.
Right, right. And I think it's popular now to listen to that phrase of being your own best friend and those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
But for me, when we got to that part of the program and really dove in, especially doing it that second time,
Yeah.
that concept resonated with me at a whole new level that I never understood before.
Yeah.
That for me was really, really key. And okay, let's say I had a friend who was trying to improve their health and ate the cheesecake one night. How would I talk to them the next day, right? It was nothing like how I was talking to myself.
Yeah.
And learning how to flip that script and be real with myself instead of, demeaning and negative and all of those things, punishing, um, that was a complete life changer for me.
Well, it sounds to me like this has been life changing
It sure has. It sure
because
has.
you keep
And
saying,
I want to reassure your listeners. I reached out to you, okay? You didn't contact me. You're not paying me. None of that.
right, right.
This just worked for me when nothing else had.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah,
And it's not just, and this is what I want everybody to hear. I know you all, if you're listening to this, you want to be losing weight, but you can see from Emily that the weight loss was the end result. It wasn't the result. And it was everything from self love to acceptance to staying connected to handling your emotions that made it feel life changing to you, not because of the weight loss, but because of all of those other things.
right. Yeah. I thoroughly believe the weight loss happened because of all of those other things.
So let me ask you this as your last question. My last question to you is what would you say to somebody out out there who's listening to this, who may have listened to my podcast before, but was where you were, what would you say to her?
What I would say, even as a bona fide introvert, is if there is any way possible to sign up to do the group program, try one of the mini groups, see what you think. But if you can stay open and try one of the groups, the profound shift that you'll find is worth every second of time and every penny of money, because those women in that group, I mean, they are just, I've never spoken to any of them since then, and we weren't, we didn't stay in touch afterwards, but that 12 weeks with them each time was so valuable to me, and I got so much out of that by listening to their experiences, and that sense of sisterhood, of knowing that we were all going through the same things at the same time and supporting each other.
Mhm.
It was just magic.
Wow. Wow. And changed your life.
It did.
Hmm. And, I can say something too. What you're saying is that when you're watching somebody else being coached,
Mhm.
sometimes your brain gets coached too. And sometimes the problem that they had, you didn't even know you had it
Right.
until you hear it. And then as I'm coaching somebody else's brain, it does the same thing for you too, and you're just watching it.
It does, because when you're being coached, I found myself getting nervous of, wanting to be
Yes.
articulate and all those kinds of things in front of the other group members. When other people were being coached, I was very relaxed. And I think there were times when it was almost more effective because I was just so receptive to what was being said. I wasn't,
Hmm.
self-conscious in any way when other people were being coached.
Hmm. So, all I can say, Emily, because I could talk to you forever, it is such a pleasure to connect with you again. And it was also such a pleasure to coach you because what people are saying is that you are open and you are loving, but you were ready. And if somebody is listening to this and they're ready, then take Emily's advice.
Just do it. You won't be sorry.
I love it. Emily, thank you so much for being
Oh,
here
thank
today.
you. Thank
And
you. It was so good to see you again.
I can't wait to see you again. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.